Today, we're plunging into something that trips up so many of us. It feels like it should be simple, right? Being completely open, really sincere, some people call bearing your heart. It seems like that should build deeper connections, build trust, make relationships stronger. But, and this is the frustrating part, for a lot of people, doing exactly that seems to, well, it pushes people away, it leads to distance, misunderstanding. Sometimes things just fall apart. So our mission today is to unpack this. How can giving your whole heart sometimes backfire so spectacularly?
It's a really interesting paradox, isn't it? Your gut says sincerity, openness, that's the foundation. And, our investigation suggests the sincere feeling, that's usually not the actual problem. The issue seems to pop up again and again in how that sincerity gets expressed. And, crucially, when it's shared.
Yeah, okay, so the how and the when.
Exactly. Think of it maybe like this. You might have this amazing diamond you want to give someone. It's incredibly valuable, especially to you. But if the person you're offering it to is, like, dying of thirst, they need water right now. Giving them a diamond, even though it comes from a really good place, a place of wanting to give something precious, it just doesn't meet their immediate actual need. So what feels like your ultimate generous gift can land, well, very differently on their end.
Okay, so it's less about how intense the feeling is behind the giving and more about whether it's the right kind of giving for the right moment.
Precisely, yeah. We found evidence that suggests sometimes that really intense, I'm holding absolutely nothing back kind of approach. It can feel less like a gift to the other person and maybe more like a burden or even sort of a
A
demand.
demand? How so?
Well, what you experience is I'm being incredibly good to them, pouring my heart out. From their side, it can feel like this unspoken pressure. Like, okay, wow, you've just handed me this enormous emotional thing. What am I supposed to do with it? What do I owe you now?
Ah, I see. Like you're accidentally creating an emotional debt
Yeah.
just by being so open.
Exactly, an implicit one. And our research points to this often being tied up with what's sometimes called overexposure, revealing the absolute depth of your vulnerability, maybe sharing every single past hurt, every current fear, all your future insecurities, especially if it happens too early, before the relationship can really handle that weight.
Right. Too much, too soon.
Yeah. It's a bit like showing up for a first coffee date and immediately handing over your entire childhood diary, your medical records, and, I don't know, asking them to co-sign a mortgage. It doesn't usually create those warm, fuzzy connection feelings. More often, it just feels heavy, overwhelming.
That makes a lot of sense. So it's not just the volume of what you share, but the timing and the whole context of the relationship. It's not just about being real. It's about having some situational awareness too.
Absolutely. And what we're seeing ties strongly into boundaries, or maybe more accurately, the lack of them. Our findings suggest something a bit tough, maybe, when you're completely boundless in your giving. Offering everything instantly, no reservations, it can sort of inadvertently diminish your own perceived value.
How does that work? Less value because you're giving too much.
It seems counterintuitive, right? But it appears that sometimes human nature struggles to deeply appreciate what comes too easily or too fully. The most comfortable kind of closeness often needs a bit of space, respect for individual boundaries, even unspoken ones. And if you breach those boundaries with this, like overwhelming intensity, even if it's well-intentioned sincerity, the natural response, often subconscious, is for the other person to pull back, to retreat.
Yeah. If everything's laid bare immediately, where's the room for, like, curiosity? Or for depth to build slowly over time?
Exactly. And sometimes our investigations suggest the drive behind this super intense, boundless giving, it can actually be quite self-focused. We might call it sort of self-moved sincerity. You feel deeply moved by your own act of giving, your own openness.
Okay.
But you might be giving what you desperately needed or what you always wanted someone to give you, instead of truly seeing, truly observing what the other person actually needs or wants in that moment.
Ah, so you're projecting your own needs onto them.
Evidence points towards that, yeah.
Hmm.
Sometimes it's labeled projective identification. You're imposing your blueprint for being loved onto someone else. Like, if your deepest need is constant reassurance, you might shower someone with nonstop attention. You're convinced you're just being incredibly loving. But for them, maybe someone who values independence, it feels like smothering or pressure.
So you get to feel like a really good or generous person
Yeah.
through the act of giving. But the receiver might be feeling pressured or just getting something that doesn't actually fit them or nourish them right then.
That's a key dynamic our research keeps highlighting, yeah. Real connection often seems to flow from observing and responding to their cues, their needs, their preferences, not just our own projections. And, while it sounds really noble to say, oh, I give unconditionally, I don't need anything back, our investigation confirms that purely one-sided giving, it's just not a sustainable model for healthy reciprocal relationships. It can't be.
Right. Relationships need give and take.
They do. If you're constantly pouring your heart out to someone who isn't meeting you even partway, well, either they're maybe not that invested, or perhaps you're not leaving any space for them to step up and participate. That kind of imbalance almost inevitably leads to resentment down the line, or burnout for the giver.
Okay, so let's loop back to where we started then. The big takeaway here isn't that having a sincere heart is the actual problem.
Not at all. No, the problem isn't having the sincere heart. It's much more about how and when you choose to share it. And crucially, whether that sharing is tuned in to the other person and, where the relationship is actually at. These dynamics we've talked about, the overgiving that feels like a burden, not a gift. The overexposure, sharing too much too soon, imposing your own needs instead of seeing theirs. And that lack of boundaries that makes even genuine sincerity feel overwhelming, or maybe even cheapens it somehow. These seem to be the common pitfalls. They're what can turn that beautiful, open-hearted intention into something that lands really poorly, like a debt or a weight or
Right.
just pressure.
This raises a really important question for you listening right now.
Yeah.
Think about those relationships in your life where you feel you give unconditionally, where you really feel you bare your heart completely. Ask yourself, are you truly giving what the other person needs in a way they can actually receive it comfortably? Or are you perhaps giving in a way that mainly satisfies a need or reinforces an idea about yourself within you? It's worth keeping exploring that space, that balance between open-heartedness and, well, healthy mutual boundaries. Thanks for diving deep with us today.